Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about World of Tanks Blitz Reforged. We're going to be talking about my final opinions on version 2 of the game. How I feel about it, what is good, what is bad. As always, I want you guys to let me know your comments, feelings, and opinions down below, and you can say whether you agree with what I am feeling, whether you disagree, anything like that. And same for Wargaming. I would love for Wargaming employees to watch this video, and I would still love to have a conversation with Wargaming, share my opinions about Reforged, and have an actual human response. Explain to me the decision making behind it, and not just go into panic mode. All right? So let's start off with the things that I like about Reforged, and then we'll go into the things that I don't like about Reforged. What I will say is that Reforged is about 70% of the way there. But there are still some big problems. But we're not going to talk about the problems just yet. We're going to talk about the things that I like about Reforged, okay? Starting off, we have the graphics, right? The game actually looks really nice. The gold is super gold, right? If you compare the colors and the graphics of Reforged to our current version of Blitz, it's quite a bit better. It's probably about 50 to 60% better. The maps look great, and the game actually runs okay now. It's not great. On Castilla, I get about 100 FPS while recording. Sorry, my voice died there. On Normandy, I get about maybe 120 FPS. Smaller maps, I can get about 120 to 130 FPS. But the bigger maps, I'm still struggling. Alpenstadt, Castilla, Dead Rail, it's about 100 FPS. That is good. It's a lot better. The game doesn't have nearly as many bugs. The physics feel a lot better. But it still needs to be a little bit better. That's what I'll say. But I do like the graphics. I think the game itself looks a hell of a lot better. I like the fact that Wargaming has tried to incorporate the tech tree into the game. It's a little confusing, which we'll talk about later, but I do like the fact that they have added a tech tree, which makes it a little bit easier for me to find tanks that I'm specifically looking for. My biggest thing that I do like about the game is the commanders giving you more versatility, right? For example, this is Duncan. Duncan gives you 6% better rate of fire and 10% higher alpha every third penning shot. Olivia gives you 10% more health and 7% better movement speed. Kai will give you more armor, and it will also give you more damage when you block shots. These are all really, really cool abilities because they take what is a basic heavy and they allow you to go DPM and damage, hit points and mobility, or armor and blocking damage. And I think that's really cool. For example, Peter KW, who some of you may know, one of the top damage dealers on the European server, he loves DPM. We had a whole conversation about what's better, Rammer or Cali, the other day on live stream. And he really likes Rammer, and I really like Calibrated. So you can do some very interesting things. Like Peter, who loves DPM, will run Duncan every single day of the week. But I like mobility. I like hit points. I think having 2,900 health on your IS-7 is crazy. Without Olivia, you'd have 2,600. So that's a 300 health increase. And then instead of running more DPM, I'm instead running turbocharged engine, which gives me a 3 kilometer per hour speed buff. It gives me a better power to weight ratio. It gives me better traverse speed. And these are all really, really cool buffs because they allow my tank to become more of a heavium rather than a heavy. I'm not focusing on much as DPM. I'm focusing on survivability. This is great because it means that I can make multiple different videos and have multiple different ideas when streaming, right? When I do a live stream on Reforged, I don't just have to play a tank with one XYZ loadout. I can have multiple loadouts. I can have a loadout with mobility. I can have a loadout with DPM. And I think that's really cool. And I think that Wargaming needs to make pre-saved loadouts that you can choose. For example, on World of Tanks PC, you can have equipment loadouts that you just press a button and it changes to a different loadout. Blitz should do the same thing. You should have the ability with each commander, it saves what your equipment was with that commander. That way you don't have to change it every single time. And I think that would be really nice. So I do actually like the addition of commanders. I just hope they're not behind a paywall. And we'll talk about that more later. Now we can see the graphics here, right? We're on Middleburg. And my game is running at about 90 FPS. It's a larger map. And as I said, the game, it runs better. There's no real hiccups anymore, but it still has problems, which I do hope are solved. But look at how quick my IS-7's going right now. Chilling at 43 kilometers per hour. Nice 170 ram into that Vickers. And then I get an HE. We've dealt 850 damage. We're going to keep tracking him. Something I do need to say, the ramming is not good in this game, and it needs to be fixed. Ramming damage is, like, not good. It's bugged. So, that is something I should add. But in general, the gameplay is completely fine, right? Nothing feels out of the ordinary. I think it's a hell of a lot better than the previous version we had. For example, look at this Kron. This Kron here has 1900 health, and I have 2900. So even though that player has an autoloader, I mean, I have so much more health than them that they're going to be in a real awkward situation here, trying to fight my tank. Get the side of its turret. There you go. Nice 480. That is a real player, by the way. So we're doing a decent job fighting them. We have the 4005 right in front of us, which we're going to aim in on the side of and get a nice high explosive into his vehicle. But yeah, you'll notice the game runs fine. Nice 210 damage ram into that 4005. And now we can move over to the Kron. Like, this feels great. Having that extra HP allows me to feel even more durable and reliable in this game as I'm playing. The high damage output of the IS-7 feels great when I'm trying to chunk the Caro. And what's great is you can do this for every single tank. Every single heavy, every single medium, you can do this unique loadout for. And it definitely makes the game feel a lot more interesting. So, that's cool. And I like that because when I'm doing streams or content, it'll give me that ability to do more content and do more live streams on things that you previously might not have had content on. So we have the Kron over here, and the Kron is now on reload. And again, we have that increased mobility. So even though this Kron has super speed boost and is running away, I'm still able to very quickly catch this Kron, put on my adrenaline, and now we can hopefully farm out this player before that T100LT is able to get to our side. Here we go. Let's aim it on that Kron again. Nice 462. And look at this. I mean, we still have 2100 health. This player literally has no clue what to do. And once we take this player out of the game, we don't... What? Okay. That's just a bug, let's be honest. That should not have happened, but it's whatever. We have that health for a reason, and we're going to use that health to try and take this Kron out of the game. There you go. That is a lot better. Now, we did just have our engine damaged, which is not great, but it's okay. We reload again. We're going to aim it on this T100LT. Here we go. Hello, good sir. Let's aim it on this player. Load in a high explosive. Nice 621. And let's get away from the XM because I don't want to be shot by that right now. Already up to 6,800 damage. T100LT is dead. Easy. Look at that. We still have 1,300 health left. And yeah, the extra DPM might have helped me as well. But having that extra HP and mobility allows me to get in and out of situations. So, I like this. I think that the current version of Reforged feels a heck of a lot better than it previously did, and I'm not hating on it anymore. The biggest thing that I said on live stream is that the gameplay itself feels good. And the gameplay is the most important part about the game. It's the same thing I told the dev. I spoke to the lead dev. I said, listen, the biggest problem for me is the lag. And if you guys can fix that, I'm not going to hate on the game nearly as much. But if you don't fix the lag, and you don't fix the major problems, then I'm going to complain. But, as you noticed, this battle felt fun. And if those were real players, it would have felt even more fun. So this battle, we aced it. We got 100,000 credits from that, 100,000 credits from the Fool's Medal, 100,000 credits from the Klobanov. And you'll notice that you do earn a lot more credits in Reforged. 450,000 credits right there. That's more than you ever would have gotten in Blitz, especially if you have credit boosters. Imagine that with like a victory ×2 or ×3 credit booster. I mean, we did 9,500 damage, which kind of shows that DPM doesn't matter even in the bot modes. But point being, I like that. I love that I can have my own loadout, that I can have my own play styles. And that's cool. There definitely needs to be some balancing done here and there, but in general, that's nice. I like the ability that you can see what tanks are in the set, right? Like, I can actually look at what the tank looks like. I wish they had an armor highlighting thing, but it is nice that you can actually see the tanks, what they look like. That's all cool. Something else that I think is nice is the ability to change the armor highlighting. If we go over to, is it graphics? Maybe it's game. Grass and aiming mode, minimap, colorblind, reload timer, ribbons. There's like 8. There it is, armor highlighting. So classic highlights what not to shoot. Default highlights what to shoot, and combined highlights what not to shoot in red and what to shoot in green. It's cool that you have different options of armor highlighting now. So it's pretty cool. In general, you have a lot of options. You have better graphics, and the game itself runs fine. All the tanks have enhanced graphics. The colors look way better. Look at how nice the 047 looks in Reforged. Looks great. That's all good. I would say, Wargaming, if you can increase the graphics by about 30% and make the game run about 30% better, it's perfect on that end. But that brings us to the other side of the table, right? I've talked about the good. What are the problems with Reforged? Well, there's a couple ones. First of all, the tech tree filter that was just added. It's just a band-aid. That's all this is. This is confusing, right? What am I looking at here? Look at how far I have to scroll all around. Look at this. All the way down here, all the way up here. This is confusing, and it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't. The whole point of adding sets into the game, as pointed out by you guys, was to make the game less confusing. This is not less confusing. This is a lot more confusing. So I can't really agree with that decision. This, like, yeah, this is a bunch of premiums. Let's say we looked at a tech tree, right? How about we look at Britain, okay? This is too much scrolling, okay? If I'm a new player, what the heck are you looking at? It's too much. Even if you take off the premiums and collectors, it's better. It is better. I will agree. Still needs some cleaning up. What exactly am I talking about? Well, look at this one, right? This here goes from the Cromwell to the LTTB, huh? To the FE301, to the Vickers CR, to the Vickers Light. How does that make sense? Why is the LTTB a Soviet light tank grind to the Vickers Light? It has no gun depression. Every other tank in the entire tree has literally 10 or 12 degrees of gun depression. And then you throw the LTTB in, which has 5 degrees. What? What? Comet should be right there. The Comet has the exact same playstyle as the Cromwell. It should go right there. Doesn't make sense at all. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Yeah, I don't know. The Black Prince doesn't go to the Carnarvon. I don't understand. The Carnarvon has the same playstyle as the Black Prince. This just stops at tier 7 and then doesn't go to the Carnarvon. They literally have the same playstyle. High DPM, single shot heavies. I don't understand it. I don't. Why is there a single Sherman Firefly over here? Like, huh? This is still a problem, right? It's not intuitive. Here's my honest opinion. If you want sets in the game, remove the tech tree tab. And the reason why is because the tech trees are not designed to be fitting with sets, right? Like, you go over to the Russian tree and you just have this single LTTB here. This isn't a tech tree. It doesn't make sense. So it's a little confusing to me to look at the fact that you've organized them in a tech tree, yet some of the vehicles aren't even part of the sets they're organized in. It's a little confusing. That's what I'm going to say. It's just a little confusing. I think it needs to be nation-based, and it needs to be more organized, okay? That's what I'll say. This is not organized. It's a mess. The second thing, which I still don't like, is the set page. I don't understand how any player's ever going to scroll through this and find what they're looking for. I really don't. Nobody's going to remember the names of these. Nobody's going to remember exactly which position they are, where they have to scroll, what they have to click on. It's too much scrolling. It's too much this. It's too much that. You need to focus less on this Netflix page, more on the tech tree page. You can keep sets in the tech tree, but make it so they're more nation-based, that they're more collusive, and not like this, okay? Some of the other things, I don't like this at all. Just remove this. In fact, why do we need these icons at all? Like, obviously you guys just went to, like, Photoshop and got the most generic PNGs you could find. But my question for you guys is, why do you even need these? Like, what do these icon badges bring to the game? You might say, oh, well, you can click on them and see the set. Okay, but I can just click on the tank and see the set too, right? Like, if I go to the tech tree, I don't need to click on the icon. I can just click on the tank, and it brings me to the set. What do these little icons bring us? Nothing. They just make the game a little bit uglier and a little more confusing. My personal opinion, remove them. They don't need to exist. just get rid of this whole page. It's entirely useless. You already have the all tank page. And remember, this brings me, right? If I click on the 452, it brings me to the set the 452's in. I don't need the PNG. You're just making it a little bit more confusing on this page. I would remove this. I would remove all these to begin with. I would also change the name of all of these sets. Lethal Frostbite, change it. Soviet Tank Destroyers. That's all it needs to be. Obliterators, change it. British Slapping. I don't know. Name it something that makes sense, right? This one's completely fine. Minotauro, look at that. The tier 10's the Minnow. Perfect. Why can't you do that for the other ones? Why can't you name this one instead of Odechi Slash? Just name it Hori. Like, it'd be a lot simpler. I'll be honest. It would be a lot simpler if the highest tiered tank was the name of that set. Then we arrive to the two biggest problems, and that is monetization. Nobody is falling for the ruse that you are adding keys into the game to make the player experience better. It's bogus. The reason you are adding keys into the game is because you can make more money. That is it. Tech trees were free. Keys are not. How much money does it cost to buy keys? Well, you've already very graciously given them to us in the store. Right here, 18,750 gold for 25 keys. To unlock a tier 10 line, it costs 30 keys. So, 20,000 plus gold to get a tier 10 line just unlocked. You still have to grind it. In other words, yeah, you guys are basically asking $50 just to have the ability to then grind a line. That's crazy. That's crazy. Now, yes, you can also unlock them for free, but not everybody's going to do that. For example, you're an experienced player. You want to create a new account so that you can get good win rate for seeding in comp. Guess what? If you want to do that, you're screwed because you now have to get all of these sets unlocked. Not a great idea. That's what I'll say. Not a great idea. So, yeah. Commanders are another big scary. I don't like commanders at all in the monetization aspect. I'm fine with commanders. I think they look fine. Duncan looks fine. Olivia doesn't look like I don't even know, a millennial loser. And Anthony looks fine as well. But the problem with commanders are that you've already planned to monetize them. It's already been posted in WOTB News that you guys are going to sell commanders. Are you going to sell them in crates? I don't know. Probably at some point. I wouldn't put it past you. But the problem is that you've already admitted you're going to sell commanders. And guess what? When premium tanks were first introduced into the game, they were not supposed to be overpowered. The IS-6 was one of the first tier 8 premiums. The T-34. Guess what? They're average as hell. You know why? Because they're supposed to be. They're only supposed to be a vector to earn more credits. They're not supposed to be better than their tech tree counterparts. But you guys decided to release the Smasher. You decided to release the Annihilator, the Helsing, the Dracula, the T-77, the Vipera. That's just tier 8 and 7. I could list so many more. Tier 9 has a bajillion overpowered ones. Tier 10 has some overpowered collectors like the AMX M4, Super Conqueror, T95E6. Point being, they might have been balanced when they were first brought into the game, but that is definitely not the reason that premiums exist today. And it's the same problem with commanders. Sure, maybe the first couple commanders will be balanced that you release for a paywall. But eventually, when your bottom line doesn't get met, if you don't have enough people spending money that month, oh, look, guys, we released a commander that's overpowered. And that's a problem. And it will be a serious problem. So, yeah, I don't like the fact that commanders can be monetized. I really hate that. I hate that keys can be monetized. Good on you guys for removing steel. It was a useless resource which nobody needed. But, remove keys, please. Just remove keys for gaming. And just don't put commanders behind a paywall. If you are going to put them behind a paywall, put them in an event first. Then you can put them in a paywall after. That's as simple as it is. But I want you guys to let me know your opinions. Wargaming, you have my video here. You have my opinions. I do not think Reforged is a total disaster, but I do not like the monetization aspect that you guys are heading towards. The game is already heavily monetized as it is. You just asked $2,000 for a single tier 9 heavy. You still have the AE phase 1, which I've spent a ridiculous amount of money trying to get, and I still haven't gotten it. And that's without even mentioning all the other crate tanks, all the other things that you've done. It's just, please realize that we are human beings and that we are the reason you are employed. And the moment you start hitting us with a cattle prod, we might not like it anymore. You've already lost a decent amount of players with the Reforged announcement. Try to earn them back, remove keys, remove the ability to pay for commanders, and I guarantee you will at least get most of those players back. Fix the way the tech trees are designed. You will keep most of your players. And if you slowly want to tweak them and ask the player base's opinion, then that's all good. But doing this without the player base's consent is not a good idea. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.